and beginning with Moses and all the prophets, he explained to them what was said in all the scriptures concerning himself.
Shalom, children. Today we are going to be taking a deeper look at this week's Torah portion to see where it speaks of Yeshua Ha'Mashiach. We are in the book of Bereshit. The parashah this week is called Miketz, which in Hebrew means at the end. We will learn today that Joseph's time in prison finally comes to an end. But first, let's hear a summary of the parashat. Pharaoh has a dream of 7 fat cows that are swallowed up by 7 lean cows. He then dreams of 7 fat ears of grain swallowed by 7 lean ears. Joseph is called out of the prison to interpret the dream. Joseph tells Pharaoh 7 years of plenty will be followed by 7 years of hunger. He advises Pharaoh to store grain during the years of plenty. Pharaoh appoints Joseph as governor of Mitzrayim. Joseph marries Aseneth, daughter of Potipharah, and they have 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. Famine spreads throughout the region, and food can only be bought in Mitzrayim. 10 of Joseph's brothers come to Mitzrayim to purchase grain. Jacob fears for the safety of Binyamin, who is the youngest, so he stays home. Joseph recognizes his brothers, but they do not recognize him. Joseph accuses them of being spies and insists that they bring Benjamin to prove that they are who they say they are. Shimon is put into prison as a hostage. On the way home, they discover the money that they used to pay for their provisions mysteriously returned to them. Jacob agrees to send Benjamin. Joseph receives them kindly, releases Shimon, and invites them to dinner at his home. Joseph then plants his silver goblet into Benjamin's bags. The parashah ends as the brothers set out for home the next morning and are pursued. They are searched and arrested when a cup is discovered in Benjamin's bags. Joseph offers to set all of them free and only keep Benjamin back as his slave. Yeshua said, "If you believed Moshe, you would believe me, because he wrote about me." So let's dig a bit deeper to see if we can find Yeshua in the scriptures. As we continue our journey through the life of Joseph, many types and shadows of Yeshua emerge. Today, we will focus on a few of them from this portion of Scripture. To bring understanding to Pharaoh's dreams, Joseph was brought up out of prison. After hearing what Joseph had to say, Pharaoh was very pleased and announced, "Without your permission, no man may lift his hand or foot in all the land of Mitzrayim." And he made him ride in his 2nd chariot, and they called out before him, "Bow the knee." Children, this creates a beautiful shadow picture of Yeshua Ha'Mashiach. After he had been brought up out of the grave to life, Yeshua came and spoke to the taught ones, saying, "All authority has been given to me in heaven and on earth." And just as Joseph was lifted up and the people recognized his authority, we learn there is a time when everyone will lift up Yeshua Ha'Mashiach as king. For Adonai has highly exalted him, and given him the name which is above every name. At the authority of Yeshua, every knee should bow, of those in heaven, of those on earth, and of those under the earth. As we continue on, we learn about a famine which visited the whole land, just as it was revealed to Joseph 7 years before through the dreams of Pharaoh. It came to be that people from all the countries came into Mitzrayim and to Joseph to buy grain, because the famine was so severe. The parashat reads, "And when all the land of Mitzrayim was famished, the people cried to Pharaoh for bread. And Pharaoh said unto all the Egyptians, Go to Joseph, and do what he tells you to do." This reminds me of the time when Yeshua spoke about himself, saying, "I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall never hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst." When we seek Yeshua and listen to his words, they bring life. Just like the grain in Egypt's storehouses brought life to those who came to Joseph. We have a lovely verse hidden within the story, which is so prophetic of things to come. After accusing the brothers of being spies, which was something they had not done, Joseph put them all together in prison for 3 days. Now, children, do you remember how many days Yeshua was in the grave? Well, I will give you a clue. It was the same number of days that Jonah was in the belly of the great fish. That's right, 3 days, the same length of time as the brothers were in prison. And, just like the brothers, Yeshua was not guilty of the crimes brought against him. We then read, Joseph released them on the 3rd day, saying, "Do this and live, for I fear Adonai." Isn't it interesting that the brothers were released on the 3rd day, and so too Yeshua was released from the grave when he rose again on the 3rd day? It is amazing how the events of Joseph's life match up with what would happen in Yeshua's life many years later. Let's now take a look at how one of the brothers chose to offer himself up in the place of another. Shimon was being held by Joseph and would not be released until Binyamin was brought to Mitzrayim. Jacob did not want his son Binyamin to go down to Mitzrayim for fear of losing him too. But the famine was so great, and they needed more grain to survive. It was then Yehuda stepped in and said, "I myself will be surety for him. If I do not bring him back to you and set him before you, then let me bear the blame forever." What an incredible sacrifice he was willing to make. He was certainly not the same man who had sold Joseph to the Ishmaelite traders some years before. Yeshua also taught about putting others first. He told his disciples, "This is my commandment, that you love one another, as I have loved you." And do you know, children, how he showed love? Well, he hinted at things to come when he added, "Greater love hath no man, that a man lay down his life for his friends." Not long after these words were spoken, he would suffer and die as an innocent man, a sacrifice which would provide atonement for each one of us. But how can we show love to one another? Well, it's easy to show kindness to those we like. But what about showing kindness to those who are not very nice to us? Then it becomes a lot harder, doesn't it? We have to choose in those moments to do the right thing. We can choose to let go of hurts and forgive those who have offended us. As Joseph's story continues, we will see a beautiful example of someone forgiving those who hated him and even wanted to kill him. Now that's the type of character we can all admire and desire to have in our daily lives. Well, children, that is the end of our study for today. So we will see you next time when we search the scriptures together. Shalom.